Well, hello again. Here we go. Your humble servant here again at it. Today, we're gonna be talking about what government is, what government have become. Unfortunately. But before we go into that, I would really like to apologize to my 5 very dear subscribers that I have on my channel. And I want to say I'm sorry. I'm sorry because I have neglected you. I have not been paying attention to you. I have not honored your subscription to my channel. And I intend to reverse that. I have to say I'm sorry to you and to myself because I have fallen. I have fallen on this trap that I have been trying to avoid my whole life. Trap in which I know most of us are right now. And we don't know how to escape. But up to some point, I was somewhat always been aware of the trap. Always have been actively avoiding the trap. But I have fallen into that trap. And that trap is the day-to-day. The day-to-day responsibilities and things that you need to do that unfortunately, contrary to what it should be in this day and age for many of us lucky ones that live in what the performance continue to say that is a first world country, and it is compared to remember, always compared to what? Contrary to what many might think, all responsibilities are, and the time that they consume out of our lives is increasing. And well, that is part of the conversation that we're gonna have today. And how this trap works is that you have very little time. Very little time to organize and think and reflect and project the fruits of these thoughts and reflections. But you still have to push through that, and you have to find the time, and you have to find a way, and you have to put your mind, speak your mind. So that's what we're doing today. And well, as usual when we do it, unfortunately not nearly enough, but we're gonna fix that. And the way this trap works is that when you wake up in the morning, some of us tired, some of us fully recharged, If you know the fully recharged one, allow me to introduce me. I want to know the secret. I have not come across that one, but maybe a little tired, maybe. But you're still, kind of fresh, and you get up and you take a shower, you go to work, and you feel kind of sharp, and your mind is ready, and you got a bunch of things in your mind that you kind of have the time and the clarity, let's say, to organize your thoughts and kind of coherently put forward this kind of thing. But you cannot do it because you have to work. You got chores throughout the day that do not allow you to do any of this. And the not allowing part does not mean that there is someone there watching you and do not allow you to do this or that. No. It's the amount of work that you do have to do throughout the day do not allow you to get your focus out of that work that you have to do, so you can do something else and then come back to your work and continue to work, continue to do your thing. Because if you do that, then you're gonna be done around 9 p.m. and you don't want that. But then you focus on your work and you do your thing. You try to finish as early as you can, and by the time that you're done, now you're tired. You're tired, and you're not as sharp, and you might not be as coherent, and you want to go home, you want to rest, and it's kind of hard. But still, even though that is the case of many of us, I'm here down in this thing with you. We're looking for solutions. Eventually, I think we can move forward and not be on this state anymore. With that said, so to you, I will work harder on giving you my thoughts and my reflections more often, as I think. Unfortunately, many of the things that I speak about are things that are in constant development. So I remember when I started thinking about making this video, many things have happened from that point on. The latest one was the recent, let's say, launch of the IPO for Starlink, I think. Oh, what's the name? Yeah. No, not Starlink. SpaceX. And we just got our first trillionaire here in this country, which is connected to what we're going to talk about, what is government, how it works, and the system in general that you're living in, so you can understand it better and act accordingly. But I gotta organize more or less. So why is this important? Why this IPO, SpaceX, first trillionaire? What is all this relevant? And if you go from that point down, it is so vast that it's kind of hard to start. It's kind of hard to pick a place where to start. So many things to say. This is why I should not stay so long without making videos. Let's start somewhere. What is government? Today, what is the function of government? You live in a fiction. An absolute and complete fiction. Everything that you think you know how to work is a lie. Everything that you see around you in the world that you think you have an idea where it came from and what sprung that something into reality is a lie. Everything that you see around you, and I'm not gonna say the word scam, even though that's what it is, but I don't wanna. Let's go step by step. The fiction and the job of government, and this is not a new thing. The place in which you are right now, please stay with me and follow. This is interesting. By the end of this presentation, you are going to see the world in a totally different light, and this is meant to open your eyes and I don't even know, man. I don't even know, because I just don't know what to do. I'm gonna give you this knowledge, and you do with it whatever you see fit. Ideally, we could have a free market of ideas in which we can get together and find solutions to these problems that we're gonna speak about in short. But the levels of massive corruption and bureaucracy and all the other things, the level of power that is actually pushing against you as a human being, as a citizen of this country, the United States of America, it's just so vast. Another thing that happened, the displacement, let's call, of Thomas Massie from his seat, and who displaced him, and the amount of money that they spent on this particular very tiny, very nothing burger race. And that came to mind based on this, what I was talking about, the levels of corruption and the people that are in power, and how you cannot get anywhere close any level of power, because there is a huge apparatus that is, they own money. As a matter of fact, they own money. The concept of money, they own it. They produce money out of the thin air. You and I, there are two classes of people. One class of people, they do not have to trade nothing, absolutely nothing, for money. They make money. Then there is the other class in which I am, and most definitely if you're looking at this video, so watching this video, you are too, is the rest of us who have to trade something for money, being our time or our products or our services, anything of that kind. We trade that for money. That automatically puts you in a disadvantage that you cannot recover from, because the difference is exponential. You cannot catch up with any of these other ones that do not have to trade nothing in order to get money. With that said, the functional government. Every company that you see today, every company that you see today, every big corporation that you see today, I don't care which one it is, pick it up, whatever it is, being Apple, being any corporation that you see today, is a government-owned entity. That is the main part of the fiction. There is no private property in this country. Every single thing that you see it trades on the stock market is a government-owned entity. It has been created, it is being maintained and subsidized with your tax dollars. What that makes is that the government is no more than a huge money laundering operation that takes your hard-earned dollars by force through taxation, but not only that, it then turns around, fire up the printing press, and gets you and me. Every you that I say here is gonna be me too. By the way, I'm down here with you, just in case you haven't noticed it. Then it turns around, fires the printing press, gets you even deeper in debt, and then with the money that they steal from you, while not representing you, and remember, you is me, plus all the money that they print to not serve you, then they do understand the dynamic of the constrictions and the limitations that government, the USA government, have, and the way they cannot openly operate. And what they do is that they grab all of this money that, once again, by force, at gunpoint, and if you don't believe me, stop paying your taxes and let's see what happens. Let's see who shows up to your door. They take all of this money by force through taxation. They take all of the other money that is yours, and it is supposed to serve you either through safety nets on social programs or health care. None of them you have, by the way, and you is me. They grab all of this money and they fabricate entities. They picked up people that are deeply connected and they can trust, but it's not a matter of trust at this point. And they give them technologies created with the money that they I want to make sure you do understand this. That's why I'm repeating this again and again and again. They take people that have been highly vetted and they create these entities, and by entities I mean corporations, and then they give them these technologies created with your money, recollected from you by force, either through taxation or the printing press. And they give these people the technology and the money so they can implement these technologies, and they put it behind a private company, a private entity, so in appearances is separated from the government. Any big thing that you can, I'm gonna use the word enjoy today, that is the process for which I've been brought into reality. You can say the internet, you can say cell phones, you can say any of the other ones. To the point that you have companies which just went into the stock market for the first time, for the first time, and they make an IPO, and that IPO made a guy a trillionaire. Guess who? Okay, let's dissect that for a second. There is one guy that have a rocket company. A guy has a rocket company that has no practical application for you, but still this guy is a trillionaire. Just think about that. How many tickets to go to Mars this person have sold? 0. That's the answer. How many tickets to go to the moon? How many tickets to go anywhere? How many regular citizens have access to any part of this program to enjoy, to have a practical application in the life of any private citizen? Zero would be the number. You might say, well, Starlink, they put satellites on space and now you can have internet. In the event that you're going down that path, allow me to tell you that the percentage of people that use Starlink is like anything else that this individual have made pure is nil. Very few people uses that. It's extremely ridiculously expensive, and there is not a practical application. At least you are in the middle of nowhere, in an oil rig, in the middle of the Pacific or the Gulf of Mexico or Gulf of America, or you are in the middle of the Amazon jungle, or you don't know, you are in a place that is not accessible through regular, normal fiber optic type of deal. How many people live in the middle of the Pacific or in the middle of the Gulf of America or in the middle of the Amazonian jungle that they need internet? Maybe a company that have an oil rig over there, or maybe a company that, I don't know, do some logging in the Amazons. Very few. Not enough to support the huge maintenance and the rockets and the satellites and definitely not enough. So that is not a viable thing, numbers wise. Same way Tesla is not a viable company either, and then he's making money off of that. Don't ask me how, because nobody's buying them. So, but still, this is the richest man in the world. And believe me, I have no problem with being rich. That is not the situation here. The problem that I have is when it's fake. When you don't have an actual product or service that you can put in the market so people can use it, the majority of people can use it, which is the only way you should be able to succeed. If you put a product or a service in the market and many people buy it and use it, then you have to be able to succeed. Not the case. Nobody's buying nothing that this human being invents. But he's the richest man in the world. Now, if you haven't got there already, I'm gonna push you. Where is the money coming from? Because there is a line. You see, there is a line from which you can make money. Money is not the problem here. It's where it's coming from. And the line is, it goes like this: product and service, commercialization, customers, and money. That is a line. If you cut any of these, let's say, links, you cannot get to the money. You see, you're here, money's here. You gotta connect. Link, link, link. You, products and services, commercialize, and then you get to the money. Now, I see an individual, I see products and services, but these are not products and services for anyone or for everybody. But the products and services are there. Oh, okay. Commercialization. But again, who are you commercializing with? Because these products and services that you are commercializing are not for the average Joe. And then who is here? The money's here, but who has it? Well, here is the government. The only reason this person here, first trillionaire ever in the history of mankind, makes products and services that are not available to the regular people, but only to government. Government is making this guy rich. It's not you or me or the other one or the rest of the world. No. It's government. To pay anything, to put anything that they deem necessary, and they is government. To put anything that the government deems necessary in orbit, government pays this company to put it in orbit, because they have the rockets and they have the technology and whatever the thing is. Government pays this guy. What does that tell you about the current state of affairs when it comes to be about what government is? What is the role of government? Why it is a huge money laundering operation for the rich, which is government, this very select few selected by government and themselves. But how does it work? Very simple. I am gonna be the government right now. I'm gonna get all this money from you by force, through taxation, from you. I am government now. I'm not you. You are the common man. I'm gonna take all this from you. I'm gonna turn around and I'm gonna fire up the printing press. I'm gonna get all that money. All that money is debt. Debt that you have to pay. You, the common man. I'm gonna grab all this money and I'm going to give it to that guy over there. But with a small condition. The profits from that enterprise are not for you, the one that I took the money from by force. No, for you is the debt and the inflation and the destruction of your buying power, and the having less time and having to work harder to make ends meet, and all that. That is for you. For the government and that guy, which responds to the government because he's a puppet of the government, all the riches. Not only I'm gonna give him all this money that I took by force from you, and then I turn around and fire the printing press and give all that to this other guy. No, that is not the only thing. That plus all the profits that enterprise is gonna produce throughout life, all that is for that guy. Not for you, but you pay for it. You did pay for it. That's how government launders money. That is the operation right there. Now, how does government benefit from this? Very simple. There is a rolling, what's the name? Like one of these rolling doors between government and private enterprise, because they are one and the same. I'm putting this particular company as an example. A company that sends rockets to the space. So you see how the machine works. But you can apply this to any other company. A cell phone company, and an internet company. Do you think the cellular technology was invented by some brilliant guy in a garage? No. That was invented for military use with your tax money and the printing press. And guess what? That technology was given to a few individuals. And you got the debt and inflation and the work harder to make ends meet, and everything else that comes with that. They got all the money that was taken from you, plus the money that was printed, plus the profits of the enterprise. We're cleaning, you see? Internet services, same thing. DARPA. That was a technology invented for military use, and then was given, and with money, you know, that was taken from you by force through taxation, plus the printing press. And oh yeah, you hold it back. On top of that, you have to pay now for these services, because it's not enough that you financed them, and you know, you created all this with your hard work and your dedication and your discipline. No, that does not matter. What it matters is that you are 40 trillion in debt. You are, and they continue to spend. You know, there is no problem. You can apply these to, I don't know, any other big company, any other big corporation that might come to mind. Palantir, and then Anduril, and the other one, and the other one, and the other one. All those. Honestly, many others. There is nothing you can do about it. But the money laundering machine is there. And the big facade, how does this work? Is that there is this big machine, let's call it. And this is where the laundering happens. It's called Wall Street. That is the mechanism from where government transfers your funds, your money, to them. And then they turn around and they tell you, hey, by the way, if you invest your money here in this big laundry machine that you don't know how it works, you don't have to pay me taxes. So if you want to hide this money from the taxman being the government, because no one else can collect taxes legally from you but the government. If you want to save this money from the taxman, put it here in this big laundry machine called Wall Street. The markets, they call it. All of them a lie. And then using that mechanism, then they lend the money. They lend the money, your money, taken away from you. And given to these supposed private companies that then participate on the market, Wall Street. It's brilliant. This is awesome. This is awesome, dude. This is crazy. But follow the trail. So if you put your money there, you can save from the tax man. Now, how Wall Street really works? Well, it's nothing more than besides that huge laundry machine that launders money from the government to the private sector, which, by the way, is the concept of fascism. I'm just gonna put it there. Fascism is not when people are dying on, concentration camps. No. Fascism is the merge between private company and government. And this is something that has been happening in the United States of America since whatever. It took shape. It materialized 100% at the end of in 1972, when finally they could do whatever they wanted because they were not bound by the gold standard anymore, which was huge and awesome, and the only thing preventing us from get to this point in which we are right now. But they managed to put a puppet there, Nixon, and Nixon got us off the gold standard so they can print money out of the thin air, and then they is the government. Keep in mind, they is the government. They can print money out of the thin air and bribe you pretty much with your own money. They promise you a little thing here and there, but the main thing is they can print money out of the thin air and give it and create all these fictitious corporations, fictitious entities that are no more than an extension of the government. All of them private entities respond to the government. AT&T responds to the government. SpaceX responds to Amazon responds to the government. All of them are being created or put in place or subsidized or government money, which is your money. Once again, is your money. Wall Street, how does it work? I know this is a little too separated, but I will bring it together at the end so you can see how it works. And even if I don't, for some reason, you might be able to now see a better picture of what is really going on. Wall Street, the real function of it, besides this laundry machine thing and creating and artificially propping up these government entities, it's a huge machine. It's a predatory instrument that predates and destroys consumers and employees. That is the way this huge machine works. Because let's say there is a way to charge more, like it's just huge. If you buy it on that Apple and you participate, let's say you wanna, okay, let's go a step behind. Why do you think things continue to get more and more expensive? They are getting cheaper to produce, cheaper to this, cheaper to that, the whole 9 yards. Labor is cheaper, everything is cheaper because you're making less. And they are making things cheaper in a way that, well, quality-wise, they are not as good. And then they pay you less, so the cost of production is less. But still, things continue to be more expensive. Why do you think that is? Why do you think we have got to this level of some people call it enchirification, in which everything is shit? Why do you think that is? Well, let me explain you. This is another function of the big, huge laundry machine. There is this thing on top of every company that decides to buy into this scam, laundry machine, Wall Street thing. And that particular thing, this huge machinery, is pushing these companies to produce ever increasing returns on investments for everyone that invests their money on these companies. Okay, where you can, that is sustainable if you have an ever increasing population with ever increasing salaries or wages, and you have ever increasing quality in these products that you're trying to sell. Then you can continuously return a profit on people that invest on the company sustainably. But that is not the world in which you live in. The reality of the world in which you live in is that you do not have an ever increasing population, because obviously when you make things harder for people, they stop having kids, and then populations don't grow. Then you got that problem. Wages are not growing, obviously, because this huge machine, I don't want to give it away, but these huge machines are on top of companies that do not allow them to pay you wages that you can live in, because they gotta get that money so they can pretend that they are turning a profit on the investors' money. And that profit comes out of your salary, by the way. So you cannot grow there either. And when none of them work, when you don't have an ever increasing population and you don't have ever increasing wages, okay, what is the last thing that you can do? Okay, I cannot turn a profit here, I cannot turn a profit there, but I have to turn a profit. What do? Let's cut the quality of the products. So what it usually we have to spend $5 to make, let's spend $3. And those two, they go to turning a profit for the shareholders. And that is why this huge Wall Street machine, laundry machine for the government, fascistic, by the way, in nature, that is why it's predatory towards employees and consumers, because if you are an employee, obviously your salaries are not being paid accordingly at the 21st century and its demands, because part of your salary has to be cut. So there is two ways you can improve really quick the liquidity, let's say, the way the market sees your company turning profit. And those two ways really quick that you can do this really quick is either cutting on people. You let go of a bunch of people and now your expenses very momentarily go down. Of course, that means that whoever is left on the company have to do the job of 2 or 3 that previously he or she did not have to do. The other way is cutting on salaries. You might you might keep all the people that you had, but you say, you know what, we're gonna cut here, we're gonna cut there, we're gonna cut here and there and there and there and blah blah blah, and you cut the salaries. You can do a combination. You let go a bunch of people, and then have the people that stays work 3 times harder, and then on top of that, you cut their salaries too, because you gotta have it all. You gotta have it all, of course. You know how it works. And the other way you can really improve the image of your company and show the market that you have the ability to turn a profit on the invested money is to cut the quality of your product. You spend less making that product, which makes it, by definition, less quality, and then you can dedicate that money that you did not invest on the creation of the product to show profits. If you're thinking, if you got to this point and you're thinking, and you're here with me, you're thinking this through, you have to know already that none of these 3 are sustainable. You cannot fire a third of the workforce of your company and have the other 3/4 to work harder to make up for the third that you let go. On top of that, pay them less, because everything is interconnected, and now inflation goes up and they're literally making the same amount of work for less money, because the government is always printing money, because the debt is for you, but they gotta give this money to all their investments, and there is the government's investments, all these financial fictitious entities that in paper look very successful, but is nothing more than an illusion and a scam, and the proverbial snake eating its tail. That's all it is. There is nothing else to it. It's just the snake eating its tail. Just like that. I'm gonna leave it there. I hope this can come handy and you can see this through, and you can reflect on this. Maybe you have money on the stock market. Maybe you don't know how the stock market works. Maybe, remember, the stock market works in a very simple way. I give you money today, real money at today's value. I give you, and you are a broker, an investment firm, whatever the thing you are. I give you money, real money at today's prices. Give you money for the promise, and maybe in 30 or 40 or 50 years, there might be, maybe, if everything goes well, and this whole house of cards does not come crashing down on top of you, maybe there might be some money there. Maybe, if you're lucky. But today I'm running away with your money. Today, at today's value. Today I'm buying Rolls Royces and mansions and this and that, and real money. But and maybe tomorrow, 30 years down from now, you might retire with your 401k, and maybe, if everything goes well, you might have something there. The system have proved to be somewhat functional. But remember, none of this is sustainable. So the people that retire a long time ago, to start with, you didn't have to participate on the stock market before, because you had a pension from your company. Your company gave you a pension, safe, secure money. After 20 years of services, or 15 or 30 or whatever the number was, it was usually 20, 18 to 20 years. You get a pension from the company. Hey, yo, you work here for me for this amount of time. Here is your reward. And that foster, loyalties, and you had a stake on that company. You wanted that company to succeed. Today is nothing. Today there is no stake. Today it's just a job that you can get here and there, and there is no pension, there is no loyalty, there is no I'm gonna stick out to this company and work for them and make sure they succeed because they're looking out for me. That does not exist anymore. But they open an avenue, and that avenue is the 401k. So now you can contribute to that. Some of them might match your contributions up to a point. Some of them do a percentage. But all of that is based on the premise that the stock market never fails. And in a country that is $40 trillion in debt, you have no idea how many zeros. $1 trillion. $40 trillion. You have no idea the stack of money, how high that is. It's just a massive number. There is no way you can pay that. And it's all because it's the funneling function of the government printing money and giving that money to their government private subsidiaries, meaning corporations. Any of them. Military contractors, whichever you prefer, Boeing, Lockheed Martin, I don't know, whatever, you pick it. If they make a military thing, that is a government subsidiary, a private entity that is instaurated or instated by government and subsidized by your tax dollars plus the printing press. And all of that money, of course, the profits of all of that, it's not for you. No. What is there for you? The debt. Remember. For you. The debt. Inflation. That's buying power. That's what it is for you. For them, it's money for nothing. So maybe you have money in your 401k and you think you're safe and you have faith on the system. Maybe you see, because one thing these brilliant psychopaths have figured it out is that they do understand. They do understand your nature, and they do understand who they are and who you are, and they do understand. Remember what the first thing that I told you: there are people that do not have to work for money. They don't have to exchange nothing for money. They just own money. You have to work for money. You do have to exchange something for money. They don't, you do. So they do understand your nature, and they say, I know for a fact you want to be like me, but you cannot. Between us now. You cannot be like them because you have to work for money. You have to exchange something for money. They don't. But you want to be like them. So they offer you an avenue, a way that you could, not sure though, but there is a chance, maybe, in 50 years, when you're almost dead, if you invest, if you invest here in this huge money laundering operation, and everything goes well, maybe you can be like me. And people fall for that. But honestly, I don't know, because I don't have any other solutions. I don't want to work for money either. I would love to have all the money. Imagine for a second, look, I'm going to give you the 3 things that you need to be in heaven right now. These have nothing to do with nothing spiritual, right? These are just material things here on earth. Heaven on earth. Don't worry about the heaven thing on heaven. Here on earth, paradise. You need 3 things. 3. This is how you know you got there already. If you have all 3 of these, you made it already. If you have 1, you are not there. If you have 2, you're close, but not quite there. You had 3, you made it. Are you ready? These are the 3. Number 1, there is no clock in your house. Time is irrelevant. It doesn't matter. Let alone an alarm clock. That's the devil. Just in case you didn't knew it, I'm going to introduce you to something related to this. I want to use this as a reference because it is important. The devil in Greek mythology was Chronos. Chronos, chronometer, time. Up to this point, even though we're not in Greek times anymore, the promise of Jesus Christ is to defeat death. Death that comes with time. If you defeat death, you defeat time. If you defeat death, you do defeat time. The concept of time does not exist. Right? You are not concerned about time. Anything you want at any time, you can get. So, no alarm clock or clocks for that matter. We're gonna put that on the category of shit for poor people. Number 2, very important. You don't have to talk to people that you don't want to. Very important. Because, let's say you're making 6 figures a year, and you are a lawyer, maybe, or an accountant, or whatever the thing is. Maybe you don't have an alarm. Maybe you can wake up whatever time, but you still have to pick up the phone. If that customer that is maintaining that lifestyle in which you don't have to wake up and go to work for no one stops paying you, then you do have a problem. You might lose everything. So you gotta pick up the phone. Even though you don't want to talk to them, you might be in the middle of a family reunion, or in the middle of a dinner, or in the middle of something important. And they call and you pick up, because that is the deal. When I call, you pick up. Pretty simple. So this is why this is important. No alarm clocks. The concept of time, irrelevant. You don't have to pick up the phone. You don't have to talk to people that you don't want to talk to. Very important. And last but not least, you do not have to be concerned about the bill. Whatever the bill it is, you don't have to be concerned. You can invite anyone you want to every place you want, as long as you want, pay for whatever things you want, and the bill does not matter. This is the level in which these people that I'm talking about, that do not, they own money. The concept of money is theirs. They don't have to work. They don't have to wake up whenever they are told they have to wake up. They don't have to pick up the phone for no one. And they definitely are not concerned about the bill. And you want to be here. Hell, I want to be there too. But I understand the limitations. Because I was not born into that family, into that table, into that group, into that class, whatever the thing you want to think. Do not let yourself be fooled. Do not let yourself be manipulated into participating into systems that predates, destroys you. But then I don't have a solution either. I don't know where you could put your money that could allow you to retire, because there is this group of people here that are inflating your currency to death. And the things that if you save money, you are effed. Because the buying power of the money saved is decreasing. If you invest the money, it's a casino. It's a money laundering machine. It might not be there 30 years, 20 years, 15 years from now. As what happened, well, what continuously and periodically happens to the stock markets and all that. You might say crypto. That might be a solution. I kind of like it. I'm not in it. But I don't know. We might have to look into that, because the dollar is gone. Like, it's a fiction at this point. There is no trust in the dollar. There is no, I think, unfortunately and painfully, we, the United States of America, I think we're gonna lose the reserve currency status for sure. And that is gonna be painful. Very painful. I don't know, because the problem is that you don't know this system. You don't know I know capitalism. I know whole things work in capitalism. But I know that we don't have capitalism either. Because in capitalism, the government cannot be in control of the production of the currency and cannot be in control of the interest rates. You don't have capitalism right then and there. And I know in capitalism, since the government is not in control of the production of money, meaning they cannot print money and create all these fictitious subsidiaries and debase your currency and devalue your thing into oblivion, since they cannot do that, then I know in capitalism, the money that you put in the bank grows on savings. That's why your grandpa and your grandpa and all those guys, all guys, they used to say, save money. Because they got paid. What you have to do today in the stock market, gambling with your money in order to get a percentage back, that was not how it worked before. The way it worked before, there was a stock market, by the way, and if you wanted to play, you could, if you wanted. But who in his right mind, the way it used to work is that you put your money in your savings account, and based on the amount of savings that was in you and mine and the other one and the other one and 300 million Americans, 200, 150, 80 million at the time, I don't know. Based on that amount of money that was on savings, that is what dictated the interest rates. Interest rates is the amount of money that you paid on borrowing money. Right? That is an interest rate. I want to borrow money that has a cost because you don't have the money. So you have to pay a cost to borrow that money. Because nobody's going to borrow you money for free. At least it's your mom or your dad, maybe your uncle. And maybe that would be for a small amount of money, maybe, and for a small period of time. Or maybe they will just lend it to you and not charge you and you pay them back whenever you want. But that is a very local thing, a family thing, if any. Other than that, you gotta, nobody's gonna take the risk on lending you money and take the risk of you not paying back and now they are out of their money. So I'm not advocating for interest rates, by the way, let alone predatory interest rates, but this is the way it works. So back in the days, when capitalism exists, back in the days, just saying, you cannot blame someone that is not in the picture anymore for the problems that you have today. By the way, just saying, the way it used to work is that based on that amount of savings of the citizens in bank accounts, if you have a lot of money saved, people are saving like mad, then the cost of borrowing money was lower because it was abundance of money to be lent. If people were spending like crazy and they were not saving nothing, and there was very little amount of money saved in savings for the citizens of a country, and there was someone who needed to borrow money, they want to do something, they want to build a factory or whatever the thing, then the interest rate for that very little amount of money that is saved skyrocketed. So it is expensive to build things, to borrow money when there is very little savings. Very expensive. It is cheaper to borrow money when there is a lot of savings. And that sends a signal to the market. Hey, when is it time to invest? When is it time to not invest and not borrow? When is it time to invest and borrow money? And what is not the time to invest and not borrow money? Because if people are spending and spending and spending and spending, that might send a signal, hey, this is time to produce because things are hot. But if people are saving and saving and saving, they're not spending and spending and spending, that might be the time in which an industrialist is looking at the market and saying, this is not the time, let's slow down, let's not make this investment to produce, instead of 50,000 cars, let's produce 100,000. This is not the time. They're not buying cars. We're gonna have to eat those cars. So we're not gonna do that. Not right now. You see, that sends a signal. Now, once you dismantle that system, which make you rich without the need of gambling and unsafety and insecurities and all that, playing in the laundry machine, stock market, Wall Street. Once you dismantle that system and you put in place another one, which is not capitalism, not capitalism, not capitalism. Just saying, I need this to get through. You cannot blame something that does not exist and hasn't existed for decades for the problems that you do have today. Let's be clear, okay? Once you dismantle that system, which was capitalism, and put in place something that I don't have a name for it because it's a Frankenstein. You have pieces of everything. You have pieces of communism and socialism and fascism and small little tiny bits of capitalism here and there. Pieces. Now you put this system in place, and now you print money out of the thin air, and you have a freaking guy that might or might not know nothing about the markets and how much money is in savings and how much money is not in savings. He might not know nothing, and he's dictating interest rates from right and left and based on whatever thing he thinks it should be or not be, and it's a planified economy, pretty much. Like communism, remember? Now there is a guy dictating interest rates. Imagine that. That's crazy. Based on what? What knowledge? Who has all the knowledge of everything that is happening at every time to dictate a interest rate? No, there is no man that can do that. But that is the system in place right now. So that is how it used to work. You put your money on the bank, on the savings, and they pay you money. If the amount of savings was very little, they paid a lot. We're talking 12% on the money saved. Your money in your bank account on savings grew. That's why your grandpa told you and your grandma, save money. Because you could retire on saving money. That is the way it was supposed to be. That is capitalism. That's what you don't have. If you put money on the savings right now, bro, you're losing money. You're losing money. Not because they're taking money away from you, which they are, but because the buying power of that money is being diluted every day. So what you could buy with $100 yesterday, you cannot buy it today. And that is dramatic, but you know, you get the thing. Maybe a week, maybe a month, but you know, the money shrinks. The buying power of the money, not the number itself, but the buying power of the money. That is the system that you have in place today because you're not on the gold standard. And now, ideally, we could go back to capitalism. How are you going to take the printing press away from the government? What are you going to do? There is a way, but I don't know. There have to be a coalition of people that you are able to put in power that maybe can form a coalition of people that, but obviously this will be extremely hard. Because all of these people that are in there, in the swamp, are living off of this laundry machine and, you know, printing money and money for me and not for you. And, you know, but still, there might be a chance that you can start putting people in power that could take away the printing press from the government. Other governments have tried this and have died. They have killed other heads of state because they have tried to do this in other countries. This is such a threat for the current system that they will not allow other governments in other places, in other countries, to do this, to abide by the gold standard, to have a currency based on gold, which would be indestructible.